Hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the last show. So there were some great conversations over there. And you're excited to get into this session where we're covering not one, but two services in the billing console. We're going to be talking about cost optimization hub, and then we'll be talking about budget actions very specifically. I've got two lovely guests with me, Ran and Mary. Ran, how's your day going so far?
Good.
Whereabouts
Early in my time, but great.
I always apologize to the Americans. At least we did move half an hour later a while ago. But Ran, whereabouts are you based?
I'm based in Seattle.
Oh, nice. Oh, very early. Again, apologies. But Mary, you're in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm based in New York. It's a nice day in New York. So it was a storm, big storm yesterday, but today it's really clear and nice. Almost the humidity is down. Great day. Yeah.
Good. I've only spent one summer. I did in August or July. I was in New York, and it was too much. It was too hot. But there was also a storm in Chicago. I think there was a tornado, and some of the optics managers are there, so they're all safe. Don't worry. But the weather you guys have is wild. Anyways, all right, let's get into it. So welcome everyone to the Keys to AWS Optimization, the show where we share stories, concepts, and solutions to help you unlock your spend at AWS. My name is Steph Gooch, your FinOps expert, here to help you with all your optimization questions. As always, please remember, if you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe so you stay up to date with all of our episodes. And if you're watching us live, say hi in the chat. We want to know what you're doing, where you're coming from. And also, don't forget, you can also subscribe to this channel with all the amazing shows. I have two amazing guests with me. Let's do some origin stories. Ran, you're at the top of my screen, so I'll let you go first. Do you want to give us your 1-minute origin story about who you are and what you do at AWS?
Yeah, sure. I'm Ran, software development manager at AWS. So far, being almost 8 years now, and did a lot of cool stuff here in cost optimization space. And I'm excited to share the hub experience today even.
Nice. Mary, do you want to go?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a product manager at AWS. I've been in the cloud optimization area in the last, I think, almost 10 years now. Yeah, my journey started in a third party tool that was acquired, and yeah. But now I'm developing here a lot of cool stuff for the FinOps.
Yeah. Amazing. And you work with Rick back in the day, and then now with him before, and now work with him now, right?
Yeah. Rick is an amazing FinOps, kind of enthusiast and manager, and we've been on the journey together for a few years now. So yeah, we've been launching cool stuff for multiple last years.
Yeah, and everyone knows Rick's been on the show many times, and was like, bring these guys on. They know loads, and they're technical, and they want to come and chat. So we're shouting you guys' praises. And we're going to be talking about Cost Optimization Hub. So to get us ready on that, why not we ask a quick chat poll question? And before I do, all these people are loving it. We use Cost Optimization Hub, and people are saying, hey, Cloud Strive's here, amazing. So let's share a quick poll. And you guys know what it is. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Who has enabled Cost Optimization Hub? For sure, because I have. And I want to see what other people have. But I'm hearing lots of customers are starting to do it. We're encouraging more and more people to do it. 2, we've got a couple of no's in there. Well, hopefully you guys will start to learn about why you should optimize them. All right, there's one person who has said no. Hopefully by the end of this session, they will have said yes. They can go and do it with us. Amazing. Okay, so why don't we kick off with Mary? Why don't you give us an explanation of what Cost Optimization Hub is?
Sure. Can you see the screen share, or should I?
I can bring. Do you want to? Should we chat a bit about it first, and then we'll do the screen share? Because I got a couple of questions that I've had a customer ask me to ask you, so I'll do those before we do the demo.
Of course. So we build Cost Optimization Hub first of all to show the users the achievable savings they have and one number of their total achievable savings. Previously, we just had a lot of recommendations from different services in different areas, and we saw a need, and customers were asking us, hey, what is really like my total savings opportunities? Give me one number. So we build Cost Optimization Hub. Sometimes we call it COH. To aggregate really all the recommendations from the AWS platform to help you optimize your cloud. And that will be the central area, one pane of glass, single pane of glass for you to view all the savings opportunities you have in one place. And that will guide you on where to start, how to execute them, and you can always count on that to guide you through your FinOps journey. Yeah, that's kind of the
Yeah,
COH.
I love this, bringing it together in one place. Right, people want this because people are lazy, and that's fair enough. We don't want to have to be jumping all over the place, so that's a really important. And Ran, this is a very simple question, but when it gets activated, are there any resources deployed in a customer's account?
No, we don't deploy any new resource. We just present what you have with the optimization opportunities on the console.
Perfect. Yeah. That is a question someone asked me, and so I wanted to make sure we clarified on here as it goes into the billing console. And also, we were talking before a bit about security that you need to set up for this, or policies and roles. Do you want to explain a little bit about that? And I'll share the link for the documentation.
Yeah, sure.
What needs to be set up? Yeah.
Yeah, so I believe a lot of our customers use AWS organizations, and so you can use a lot of your accounts and see all the opportunities together. It's a 3-step process. Like first, you enable your organization with trusted access, so you can control the access for all of your member accounts. Then you enroll your management account. Also, you can optionally enroll all of your member account at once with a single click checkbox on the console. And then after you enroll, the service link role creation will happen on the backend. Since we have your trusted access, we can create the roles for you. Those roles are basically to give the hub permissions to call some other AWS public APIs and perform the optimization aggregation.
Perfect. I love that you can do it just a one place organization, boom, done. So if you are watching and you are able to get access to your organization, encourage them to do this, because then it's done for everyone and you can start, like Ran said, pulling in all those metrics and you can compare across the board. Speaking of those, Mary, do you want to, now I don't know if you know them off the top of your head, do you know all 15 things it covers, all the different recommendations?
Well, from the top of my head, we inherit all the recommendations of Compute Optimizer, all the recommendations from the purchase commitments, which includes the savings plans and the reserved instances of RDS, et cetera. So we can kind of throw like EC2, RDS, storage, things like that. That's all included in the COH.
Perfect. If you want to go and investigate, documentation has all of them on there that are currently, as of 18th of July, those are the ones that we have at the moment. But why don't we get into this demo of you showing us what it looks like? And there are some nuances that we're going to discuss about duplication of resources covered. I'm not going to explain it very well, but these guys will. So Mary, I'll share your screen now if you're ready.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, so I'm starting with the AWS Home Console. So once you enter into your AWS user, you can access Cost Optimization Hub in a few ways. The coolest way I think you can access it is through this widget of cost and usage. So over here on the homepage, you can see the cost that you had in the last few months, and then you see your savings opportunities. Once you click on this link, you will enter Cost Optimization Hub.
I didn't even know that did that. There you go. I've been going to the billing console to the left-hand side this whole time. I've wasted so much time.
Right. Yeah, no, this is the coolest way to go there. Like, you don't need to save anything, any links. You don't need to remember what to type in the search bar. You just click on the savings opportunities, and that's what we really aggregate here for you. Here you can see right away that it's almost 9K a month of savings, and that your 9K a month is actually equals to represents 64% of your bill in the last 30 days. So you can see what is the size of the opportunity, right? Because your bill can be 1 million or your bill can be 10K, and really just showing you the number of savings is not enough. We need to show you the percentage of your bill so you can have more appetite, or say, hey, I'm pretty optimized, right? So it kind of puts the number in your perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, just to stop you there, I'm just going to say I've definitely spoken to people about this tool, but I didn't even notice that. So I'm glad that you pointed that out, because these are this is why I want these guys to come on the show, because they are going to be able to point out some little bits that they've put there for a reason. Okay, sorry, continue.
Yeah, of course. So talking about cool things, many times. So in this case, we want to see the COH or your savings opportunities in different ways. So in this case, we selected recommendation action. So you can see that here we see it's a right sizing action, it's a purchase action. So there are different categories. And of course, many customers will point out, okay, but what is other, right? And as you know, donuts can never present all the information you have, especially in big environments, because then it's not going to be readable. But we're not going to let you hang. And we if you want to know what is other, you can always click on this table over here, and that will give you really the full list, just in a different format. So in this case, it's a table, right?
Again, I didn't. It's embarrassing now that how much I did not pay attention to these things. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, there's a lot of magical buttons over here. So here you can also see that it's actually sorting this with the top savings in mind. So you can see that right sizing has the biggest savings opportunities. In this case, it's 3K. And then if you go down the list, you can see purchase savings plans is the second one. So it kind of helps you to see, like, okay, where my biggest opportunity lies if you look at the table. Now, if I go back to the chart, there are a few cool things hidden here. If you want to see savings based on your accounts, here you can see we have 2 accounts in this environment, and I can see that this account has more savings opportunities. If I hover over that, I can see the value of that and the percentage. So if I want to start somewhere, maybe I'll start with this account. Depends how you build your environment. If you want to see implementation effort and see what is the easiest thing to start with, we have this donut. So I can see here that there's a big chunk of recommendations that are very low effort for me to start with. Now, we also have a lot of customers are asking, like, but how do you categorize what is very low versus medium? And our engineering team does a lot of magical calculations in the back end. And Ran, if you can, kind of dive deeper into that, that would be nice.
Yeah, sure. It's a high judgment call, usually to adopt recommendations, and each software is different. But there are common factors we consider. So basically, whether you need to involve engineering team at all to validate those recommendations, or if you need to plan for some maintenance window before and after migration, if your transition is not fully automated. Or even if you need to rewrite some part of your application, then that's definitely a hard work, large effort on engineering. So basically, we consider those common factors and categorize them. And naturally, you would think like purchasing a savings plan could be low effort because finance people can just click through, view their patterns of usage, and complete the purchase. Yeah.
Awesome. So a question maybe on the drop down, if you want to open it, would be interested to know from both of your points of view, which one do you think, because obviously the first one, which is by the different types, is going to be the key one. But Ran, which do you think this is silly, but which is your favorite? Which is the one you think this one is really useful that people should like maybe secondary go to? Would it be the implementation effort? Because that's something you think that one's one of the best?
Yeah. I think it probably depends on what environment you're at. Like if I'm in a production environment and my consistent availability is super important, then you probably want to see whether the resource started is needed, that flag. Or if I have some flexibility, but my engineers are super tight in resource, I would look at the implementation effort. Those flags can be used like collectively and to help you make your judgment call.
Perfect. And Mary, what about you?
Yeah, I really like implementation effort for starts. So if you kind of a beginner, I would start with that one. We actually have a cheat sheet for customers if they want to know like what is low, what is very low effort. I can share this link. So just for you to see, all the actions that we have in Cost Optimization Hub are listed here, and you can see how we categorize them into efforts in this column. So it's really cool for you. If you want to start, you don't know how, I would start with this page. And if I'm more advanced, I would probably go with recommended action or resource types, because then I can really see which resource types I need to start tackling first.
Perfect. I like this because especially the implementation effort, I think you're right, could be good for prioritizing stuff, so you can add some priority to it. But yeah, the impacting of production workloads versus like a sandbox account, I think is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we've got a couple of questions in the chat, so I'll just ask these now. There's no cost for Cost Optimization Hub, right?
Correct.
Correct. Good. It's free. Yay. There's no additional like paid metrics or anything like that. It's only unless you have obviously the compute optimized one, but that's separate.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, because we help you to optimize. We're not charging you for that. That's to help you reduce the cost. So you don't need to have a ROI. Should I pay for that? That we want to keep it simple.
Yay, amazing. That's what we love to hear. And the second question, any plans to add account names rather than ID in the group by accounts thing, I believe?
Yeah.
Is that
Great question. Yeah, of course. We want to make it as easy as possible. We got these comments before, and we plan to add the name. Yeah.
Perfect. Good. I mean, as we all know, and if you don't, you should. Kerr 2.0 has account names in it, so make sure you're checking out that. Okay, perfect. All right. So now we've seen all of these amazing recommendations, the different views. What are actually in the recommendations or opportunities?
Yeah. So the way we, when we work with customers, usually when we start, we look at the resource type, and then we'll go and we do some filters, just really to focus on specific recommendations. So in this case, I'm just gonna select right sizing and purchasing savings plans. So once I use these two filters, it actually will narrow down my window of opportunities, right? Because now I'm focusing just on right sizing and purchasing savings plans. And we keep this number will change based on what I will filter on. And the cool thing that as we mentioned before, we always present you achievable savings here. But how do we really do it? Because like we have compute savings plan here and EC2 instance types, and we all know that when you right size and you purchase savings plan, if you just add it up all together, it might be higher than your bill. So Ren, what a kind of auto magical thing we do here to realistically present the savings?
Yeah, I got that question all the time. I know many people, at times, customers, they want to know more about how we dedupe the savings. So I can go a little bit deeper into that. Just a recap, there are two categories of overlapping savings. The first one, which is more straightforward, is like some recommendations are just not compatible. Like if you right size your instance, you cannot like stop it at the same time. Or if you buy a 3-year savings plan, you cannot buy the 1 year, or you would be wasting money. So this part is slightly simpler. What we do is basically we rank those recommendations if they fall into the same category. And when we present, we choose the highest ranking. So all the others will just be ignored. And this ranking today is based on high savings. So that's how we choose the top one opportunity. The second category is slightly more complicated. It's when you have compatible recommendations, but the total amount is not achievable. Like the most common areas where you have a lot of right sizing recommendations, and then you also have compute savings plan purchase. Yeah, to calculate the deduplication, it requires a lot of computation on the back end. But in a nutshell, it's a 3-step process. The first step, we create a mapping between the right size resource and the SP cover resource, their usages, and based on a usage group. And the second step, we calculate for each usage group for the right sizing recommendation, after the downsizing, what would be the factor? And then we apply the same factor to the savings plan purchase savings, and that savings will be shrinked. So that's the second step. The last step is where we aggregate those updated savings back into the new savings plan category, and that will happen on the fly to show in the donut chart. Yeah, so the best thing I like about this approach is that we pre-compute a lot of the numbers, like reduce the savings on the back end. At the same time, we do have this aggregation back that's happening with API. So the customer can see that when they update the filters, everything will be updated within seconds. But then the pre-compute will make sure the savings are calculated with low cardinality and have a good accuracy. Yep.
Wow. Okay. I mean, someone in the comment just put, hold up, going to get my calculus notes. Hello. It's a complicated thing, but thank you for laying it out. And I definitely am going to be going back and listening to that again to make sure I fully understand it. But why don't we see this in action? Do you want to demo the opportunities that we have?
Yeah, of course. So once in this case, I filtered, so the opportunities will be filtered. So whatever you see in the donut, that would be the achievable savings. Once you click into the opportunities, it will show you all the recommendations that you filtered by. In this case, I only selected right sizing and purchasing savings plans. So the cool thing here is now I can kind of pick and choose, right? So in the optimization journey, you usually don't take all the recommendation at once. You start digging into an instance type or a recommendation type. And in this case, we want to show off the new recommendation that Jimmy from our team released at FinOpsX really recently. And here they are already in the cost optimization hub. So in this case, I clicked on database 1, and you can see that. Let me zoom out a little bit so we can see the whole action, the whole recommendation. Okay. And here I can really focus on that database. So if I click on this drop down, I'll see that I have 3 options. Yeah, that isn't it cool?
Keep going.
We have 3 options. And if I click around, I can see like stopping this database will give me almost around $500 of savings. Migrating it to Graviton will give me 190, and right sizing will give me 150. Now, Ren, we have 3 options here, but like, how should we tell the customer like to think about this or to choose between these 3 options?
Yeah. The hub automatically pick the stop recommendation because it's the highest savings. But engineering team, we know it all depends on what software you're running. Like for example, my team has a operational tool. We have migrate to Graviton and right size or upgrade, those options. And we decided to go with upgrade, even though Graviton will give us more savings, because like the tool wasn't used that too often, and migration would require some sort of rewriting the tool itself. So at the beginning, we just took the easy action to upgrade, and that saves us some money, which is good. And then later we find out like we enhance the tool and add more features. Then we thought, okay, now is the time to like actually migrate to Graviton and find the optimal savings. So it's not like you have to decide at the beginning. You can do it like with continuous journey where your application will evolve. So yeah, hope the numbers will like still be helpful. You keep checking them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and if you want to explore further, you can drill into the RDS console or the compute optimizer, and then proceed with really following one of these recommendations.
Perfect. And also in the top view with all the list of them, there's like if we pull this bit down, whether you've got the list of all the different suggestions. There's the little toggle to deduplicate as well, isn't there?
Yeah, if you want to really expand the top list, so this list, it will aggregate within each resource. So database 8 or database 4, like just I clicked on database 1, it will aggregate within the resource type, the recommendations. If you want to see everything in one list, you can always click on over here, and then it will give you the full list of all the recommendations in the COH, but based on the filters or categories you selected.
And this leads us on to a very important question, which Cloud Without Stripe has just asked, but I know the answer to, which is, can you export Cost Optimization Hub?
Yeah, great question. So we have this button over here, create an export to Amazon S3. Once you click on it, you can see that a few interesting things are happening here. First of all, if you do the cost optimization recommendations, if you can see here, it actually inherits the filter that I use. So in large customer environments, it's really interesting to slice and dice the data and kind of like scope it down to something achievable first, export it, work on that, and then export another chunk. But if you want to just take over everything and build your own dashboard, we welcome you to do so. You can just remove the filters and do that. Another cool thing you can see here is that you can also export with focus. That was also launched by Zach from our team recently, and it presented in FinOps X. So you can use this option to experiment with focus and see how you can use that to start optimizing your cloud. Ren, do you want to add anything over here regarding this export?
Yeah, just one little thing. You probably already noticed that the export is also available in the left side navigation. And one little tips, the first time you enable the export for the cost optimization hub, you will be required to create a service link role so that the export service can get the data from the hub.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much. That brings us up to time on Customization Hub. Hopefully you've learned a lot. Clearly I have. Thank you so much, girls. And there was also some comments and questions about people working on this for production workloads and would it work for development? And I would just say, yeah, it's across the board. Check it out for all your accounts. Do what these guys said and enable it at your organization. And that way you'll be able to see all the recommendations across. Brilliant. Thank you so much, guys. And I will bring on Owen, who's going to be talking about budgets. But thank you so much. And we will see, stick around on the live stream, but say bye to Zan and Mary. Thank you so much. We'll bring back Owen in just a second. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Owen. Oh, you're on mute, by the way. We just jumped you very quickly, so I apologize.
Hello, I'm here.
Here you're ready, and then now cleaned off whiteboard, which is good. Before we were just like, oh, quickly, let's do it before the whiteboard made me laugh.
Exactly.
Amazing. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm great. Had a great talk. Everyone, I feel like, is going to laugh at how much I didn't know about Cost Optimization Hub. There's so many features to it that I had no idea, but glad that I now know all the different ins and outs. This is your first time on the show, so why don't we do your 1-minute origin story so the folks can get to know who you are?
Yes. Well, hello. My name is Owen Corso. I'm a senior product manager on the AWS billing and cost management team. I've been at Amazon for about 4.5 years. Before that, I was at Google for about 7 years. And yeah, what keeps me up at night is eliminating unexpected cost and usage. So helping customers plan and then track to plan and never go over plan. That's the goal.
Awesome. And that's a great segue. So we just had a talk about how you can find these recommendations. But Owen's point of view is that you're spending money and you want to make sure that we control it. And like you said, don't overspend. Had nice someone saying, hi, Owen. There you go. Nice welcome from the chat. But I wanted to bring Owen in because when we were doing FinOps X, that was just mentioned by the other guys, that when I was speaking on my session with Twilio, we talked a bit about budget actions and about how they use budgets, and the focus was they were going to start using budget actions and the different elements. And I find budget actions, I remember when they were released, quite an interesting topic, and I think more customers could utilize them. And I wanted to do a proper specific session with Owen about them, and we will do a big budget session next season, which we plan to do already. But Owen, do you want to explain to everyone what budget actions are?
Yes. So AWS budgets allows you to set alerts on cost and usage, and also your commitments for savings plans and reserved instances. You can track your coverage and utilization rate. And so that's really great to build awareness, to trigger alerts based on certain conditions. But budget actions goes a step further than just alerting, and it actually goes to enforcing those budget limits. So if you're, let's say you're a public sector customer and you're funded from a government grant, and it's illegal to go over budget, budget actions would be a good use case for that. Or if you're trying to promote cloud innovation across your integration, across your organization, and you want to give like $300 a month and then go to town, spend whatever you want, but at that $300, you're restricted, and then you'll get that restriction removed at the end of the month, the beginning of the next month. So those are some of the reasons why you might want to take this heavy-handed approach and enforce budget limits as you're governing and operating with cloud finances.
Yeah, I like the way you describe it. It's a heavy-handed approach, and it depends obviously what your organization is like and what accounts you're looking at, and development and production and all these things. But I do think, especially if maybe for a small company or even on your own accounts, this is something that you can talk about. We had Shlomo on recently talking about how he knew somebody's daughter who had learned about cloud, and they wanted to have learn about how they could control their costs. And this is like a good example of the control. So, quick question to everybody watching out there, just generally, who has set up a budget? 1 for yes, 2 for no in the chat. Have you set up a budget in your account? In my personal account, I definitely have set up a budget. And I remember when I got a spend notification, and I was like, "Whoa, what's this?" And it was like something really small, like a license I'd set up. Okay, brilliant. People were coming in. Dayledge 2. Okay, so we've got a couple of yeses, a couple of nos. Oh, cool guy Trav has said no. I'm just gonna. I know who you are, cool guy Trav, and you should have a budget. That's what I should say. Okay, perfect. All right, I'm gonna go quickly on to our next question then. Who has been alerted by a budget if you have one? Because 1 for yes, 2 for no. I definitely have had spikes in my account, in my work accounts, have been like, oh my goodness, what is this? Okay, good. All right, everyone has been alerted, and hopefully that is saved. So Owen, just to let you know, people have had saved by budgets. That's what I wanted to show people.
That's great to hear.
It's worked. Awesome. So moving back on to actions, we wanted to talk a little bit about why you would maybe set them up. We've spoken a bit about the hardcore, but anything else before we go into the demo that you want to kind of showcase before we do the demo?
Another reason might be as like a safety, like precautionary measure. Like, let's say you're used to spending $10,000 a month, and then there's a runaway workload or a attack on your infrastructure, and you're spending 10,000 times your normal spend. This would allow you to take permissions away and stop the spawning of new resources, or stop the bleeding, so to speak, in terms of that runaway cost and usage. So you could use budget actions to enforce and control permissions to go to a more restrictive posture.
Brilliant. Sorry, I just got slightly distracted. So Rand's still on the session. I can still see her, and I can see her amazing cat is just interrupting her. But I won't bring her on screen just in case. But if anybody comes on Twitch, please feel free to show their pets. But anyways, let's go into a demo of how we set up budget actions and how and what it actually looks like to configure in an account. If you want to share your screen. And while you're doing that, in the comments you've had, I just let the bank send me alerts rather than. That's not the way to do it. We want to make sure that you know as soon as possible. Don't wait for the bank to tell you.
Don't. That's not an advisable approach. I cannot endorse that. We want to give you proactive notifications before something like that happens.
Yes.
Okay, so here we are at the homepage. I am just going to go navigate to the billing and cost management console. And so this is where you can find all of our cloud financial management products. On the side navigation, you can find budgets. And so I have, this is the budget overview page, and I'm going to show you how to create a new budget and add an action to one of the alerts. So you may have noticed recently we switched, or we introduced a templated approach, which kind of streamlines the creation of some very common budget configurations. So you have 4 budget templates to choose from. One that's really popular for for your personal account or something is the 0 spend budget. But we're going to just, for the purpose of this demo, go right to the advanced to create a cost budget. There's 4 types of budgets. I talked a little bit about the tracking the coverage and utilization before. I'm going to give it a quick name, demo. And then for the budget amount, I'm going to just set it to $1 because I want to showcase the budget action executing, right? So we want to just show.
I was going to say, I just really like on the right-hand side that you can see that preview. And I was going to ask, what is it unblended? And yeah, you can see your unblended spend. So if you're like, oh, how much should I be doing? You can have that kind of knowledge, and you can see that one budget being very low, but that's from the demo point of view. But very handy to have that information.
Right. And so we introduced that fairly recently so that while you're configuring the budget and adjusting maybe filters or numbers, you can visually see that persistent view of how it would impact the cost and usage you're tracking. And so as you adjust, if I were to add filters or change metrics, you would see the live update in the display. And yeah, just a quick pitch on first principles. The way that budgets helps you the most is when your budget amount represents your expected spend. So when you're setting this number, you really want to think about, what do I expect my cost and usage to be? What does my historical pattern look like? Where are we going? What workloads are we moving to the cloud? And so setting that really well, baking in all of your planned roadmap items, that's really going to help reduce false positives where you receive an alert but nothing is wrong, and also reduce false negatives where if the budget amount's too high, you're going to be missing all of the little blips that go on below the surface. So you really want to get that dialed in and equal to what your expectations are.
So kind of like make it realistic. Don't try and be like, oh, I'm spending 6,000, but really I want to be spending 5. It's like, no, what are you actually spending?
Right. Realistic, intentional, planned, wanted. What's do you want to spend to run your business, to deliver customer value to your end customers, and no more. You don't want to kind of be in the wrong place there. Okay, so we just set our filters, gave it a budget amount of $1. And now we're going to add an alert. So we have flexible alerting. You can, I talked about proactive alerting before. So a forecasted alert gives you a warning when you're trending. Like, let's say you have a monthly cost budget, and in the beginning of the month, your spend pattern is way outside of band. You're going to be forecasted to go over budget at the end of the month. And so we can give you an early warning. That's why you would use that. But for today, we'll go 1% of $1 so that this budget auto triggers itself. And I'll give it an email address. And yeah, then we'll go to the next step is an optional step. So this is where we're setting the actions.
Okay.
And we're going to add our first action. And so the first thing to keep in mind when configuring budget actions is permissions. You need a little bit more permissions to do this. Like what? Well, you need to be able to pass a role to budgets, and then budgets needs that role to be able to execute the action it's going to perform on your behalf.
So you have to allow budgets to have the policy. So by default, it won't unless you give it this role.
Correct. So as a console user, I need to be able to pass a role, and then you have to have that role that you select. So this first option is selecting the role. So I already have one already set up. I could just pop over my tab, or actually it doesn't switch tabs. So we're doing pretty good on time. So I could, let's see what happens when I open. It still stays on the tab. Okay, so I can navigate. Well, let's just keep in this tab. I have a role that I've set up for this purpose.
Okay. And I put in the chat the documentation for the role, so we can always jump back if we want to have a look at the role in a minute.
Right. Okay. So this role that I have selected, AWS Budget Actions SSM role with Trust. This is using a managed policy. We created a managed policy for this purpose so that you could easily configure your budget actions. But let's talk about the 3 types of actions. The first one is within the account, when the cost and usage exceeds your thresholds, budgets can attach an IAM policy to a user group, IAM group, or role.
Okay.
And so that's going from like a more permissive posture, like I can do more things, to more restricted and taking away permission. So that's one option that you could use.
Could it be hypothetically you had before like allow all, and then you could then apply a policy to be deny all, or
correct?
Depends on the order, I guess. Okay.
Yeah, you can go from admin to read only, or you could create your own policies where you just take away expensive operations. So the goal is to reduce, runaway spend or expensive things. You could just take away the ability to launch a new instance or things like that, like start a machine learning training model.
Anything like that.
So this action's only in the current account. You can only control things in the current account.
And is it as well? So that's onto a role, a user, or a group. So for example, if you had an auto-scaling group, that would still be allowed to create new instances, but the person, if someone went into the console and tried to deploy an instance, they couldn't.
Well, so you can add multiple actions. So if you're trying to impact auto scaling, you would.
Well, I'm more thinking if you want to leave auto scaling to like keep going, but you don't want anyone to deploy anything new. You just want them to kind of, somebody can't, like user A can't just log in and create something, but auto scaling group could just continue.
Yeah. So you would, in that case, you would probably use this action to attach to a IAM user or IAM group, user group. So the auto scaling, it would be, the entity that's launching the instances in an auto scaling group is that role. Like the auto scaling
so you
group
could
has
leave
a role.
the role.
Yeah, you don't touch that. You leave that alone. It's allowed to do its thing. And so that's how you would achieve something like that. But you could do both. You could have 2 actions, one that restricts the users and user groups, and then the other to restrict that role. And you would target that individually by selecting the entity.
Just to show you, we had a comment saying powerful. Yes, it is powerful.
Right. So we talked a bit about IAM, and so that, the way that works, you select which policy you want to attach, and then you select where you want to attach it.
Okay.
So that's basically what we just discussed. Now, the second type deals with AWS organizations, and you can have what's called a service control policy, and that works very similarly as what we just discussed within an account where you're attaching an IAM policy to a user group or role. This is attaching a service control policy to an organizational unit or another account or another, in your organization. So it works the same way where you select, deny, let's say you have a deny policy, and then you choose which entity you want. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that just restricts permissions. And on both these first 2 is all about permissions.
Okay, so the questions on this. Number 1, the list of service control policies, they just exist in the organization, correct?
Well, you have to go create the.
You have to go create them. Yeah. But like
exactly.
that's where they live. Okay.
Yeah,
And
they
then the
live in
second
organization.
question, yeah, if you are on just like a random linked account, how does it have permissions to add a service control policy to an OU? Does it have to be in that OU, or does it just have to be the root account that does this? The
Correct.
organization
Yeah, the management account is the only one that will be able to set this type of budget action.
Perfect.
It's
Okay,
the
makes sense.
administrator, whoever is managing the organization, they're the ones that can dictate which linked accounts, member accounts have which permissions.
Cool. So IAM policies, maybe you could do at a linked account level and just control what's in that account. But then the
Exactly.
service control policy is the management account level. Okay.
Exactly. And that allows you to govern, orchestrate centrally, and make sure that teams are adhering to the policies you're dictating.
Perfect. Okay. And what's the third type?
Okay, so this is the fun part. So we're going to demo this third type of action, which allows you to automate the stopping of EC2 or RDS instances. So we're gonna do EC2, and so this is where let's say you have a sandbox account, you have a instance running, and you have your development code on there, and you want to make sure that you're keeping costs in check. So let's select this, and so you have to first target, find the instance, and you target it by ID. So I'm going to go choose US East 1 region, and within this region I have 2 instances. I'm going to just choose this first one. I know it's running, so we can I could pop over and show that it is running, but let's
We'll take your word for it.
Yeah, we'll do that after, just to show it as when it's stopped. This is another interesting option to call out. So if you're new to budget actions and you want to just kick the tires, see how it works, learn how it works, we have this optional to either automatically execute and stop the instance with no human intervention, or you can manually approve. So it defaults to this manual approval workflow. But for our demo, we want to stop the instances where we spend too much. Turn it off.
Where does the approval come through as? Is it an email?
Yes, you will get several emails when you start using budget actions, in addition to the budget alerts, the regular threshold exceeded alerts. And so if an action fails to execute, if an action is executed, if it's ready for your approval, if you reverse the action, those are all use cases where you'll receive an email.
Okay. So we're keeping you fully up to date with all the things that actions are doing. So nothing's going to happen without you knowing.
Exactly. And because there might be different audiences for these two situations, one is like you're overspending, or the second, we've made resource changes in your account. That we allow different preferences for who receives those. So you can send the budget alert, budget action emails to a different recipient list or SNS. Okay, so we will just give a different emails for actions. Okay, so we don't want to use SNS, and so now we are. It looks like we're ready. We have our selected the role that we're giving budgets. We are choosing to shut down EC2. We have an instance targeted. We want to automatically approve it. We want to send alerts to a different recipient.
And the tags, does that tag the resource, or does it is it a tag for the action?
Good question. So because a budget action is actually a separate resource than a budget, you can add different tags to the budget action resource.
Okay.
And so this is a new feature. We just launched tagging, but we hope that'll further enable you to
See what's going on.
Yeah, give teams visibility into the
Cool.
different resources that belong to different teams, apps, so and so. Okay, so it looks like we're ready. We have our budget. We have a name. It's $1, and we're all ready. When I hit save, what we expect to happen is that this running instance will be immediately paused. It's not going to just delete it. It's going to stop it.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay, so everybody ready?
Yes. In the chat, we're ready.
Okay, create budget. Your budget called demo has been successfully created. Wow.
So
this
let's
is
have
exciting.
a look. Yeah, we've got like 2 minutes left. So how fast does it work?
It should work within the next, if I go into this, we see we're way over budget.
Whoops.
And so we go to the alerts, and now we see action has been successfully completed. So if I go into this alert, I see the history of the actions. When we initially created it, it was on standby. And then 2 seconds later, it was evaluated and determined to trigger the action, and it's successfully completed. So now if we go over to EC2, we should see this action is now in a stop state. And so, yeah, the landing in 3.8 is now stopped. And that is, that was a successfully completed budget action. So just to close, we're going to show how easy it is to reverse the action. So if I navigate back to the alert, we're here, we can select the action that was executed, and I have a button here to reverse completed action. And I click that, it reverses it. And now when we go back to EC2, it will be successfully running again. And we just, ensured that everything was okay. And okay, so it's in the process of starting again. And there we have it. So that's budget actions in about 15 minutes.
I love it. Thank you so much for that concise session on it. I hope everyone watching can go and have a look and learn a little bit more about them. I'm going to put the link just below now so people can make sure that they can get access to it and have a go. And why not set it up, especially in places like your sandbox accounts and your non-production accounts. Perfect. Thank you so much, Owen. All right, we're ready for our Secret Richard summary. Richard's going to throw up a summary of today's episode. I'm going to read it aloud, not having seen the notes. For the many time, Richard is not an AI. He is a person. My hands are off the keyboard. I always get asked this question. So this will just be a kind of summary of what we learned about today. So Cost Optimization Hub, or COH, is a one-stop shop for optimization recommendations. Low effort opportunities is icing on the donut. For budget actions, take actions so you don't have to. Yes, allow budget actions to do some of the work for you. Potentially heavy-handed, so use appropriately. Yes, it is very powerful, so be careful how you use it. Amazing. Thank you so much to my lovely guests. We really appreciate everyone from the service team coming on today to talk about the amazing things that are being pushed out by this team. Owen, thank you so much for joining us. We will have you back on to do a full lifecycle session of budgets and setting budgets for an organization in next season. So we can look forward to that. In the meantime, everyone have a great week, and we will see you here next time. Bye.
So long.